Good morning. The objectives for Project 4 speech is to select the right words and sentence structure to communicate your ideas clearly, accurately, and vividly. Use rhetorical devices to enhance and emphasize ideas. Eliminate jargon and unnecessary words. Use correct grammar. You have time from 5 to 7 minutes. Best of luck.
Is it fine?
Yeah.
I'm just going to share screen now. So I was walking through the dark hallway of my house in Kerala. And I don't quite remember where I was going or why I was going out, but I do remember this. It was around, I guess, 2 p.m. and all my family members in my house were sleeping, the afternoon nap. And I live in the first floor, so there's kind of a hallway and then there's a stairs and then there's the ground floor. So as I was walking through this hallway and down the stairs, I heard some weird jingling noise behind me, but it was no coincidence because for each step I took, the jingling followed without missing a beat. I mean, it was that accurate. So at this point, I was completely convinced that an old ghost was chasing me with a knife. I didn't know what to do, but ultimately as a human, I picked up pace and same with the jingling. And at the end of the stairs, I finally turned and dared to look back. And in that dim light of the house, I saw absolutely nothing. But I did find something else. I found 5 neat circular coins in my pocket. You could guess the rest of the story. A very good morning to all my dear Gavaliers, distinguished Toastmasters, and respected guests. So as I was running from this ghost, I could have thought, reasoned, questioned, why was this jingling following me? And with that accuracy. And the most important question of all, did I have anything in my pocket? I could have thought. But in that sheer panic, we lose something very valuable called common sense and logic. Our brain just fails to work. And when we can't understand something right away, we go for supernatural, made-up answers. And we have seen this happen throughout history again and again. Now, I'm going to talk about such an incident, but as I speak, just try to think about what I'm actually talking about, okay? So pay attention. In the Eastern century, in the 18th century in the Eastern Europe, it was a pretty grim place because of many deaths happening of unknown plagues and diseases. And without medical explanation, people, what did they do? Obviously went for supernatural causes. So what was these supernatural causes? So these people dug up bodies. This is what actually happened. These people dug up bodies to find the cause of this mysterious deaths. And what did they find? These corpses looked very much alive. Longer hair and fingernails, bloated bellies, blood in the corner of their mouth. Clearly these people were not dead. They were, any guesses? Vampires. They've been leaving their graves to feast on the living, and the terrified villagers would quickly enact rituals to kill them, including beheading, or burning, or staking the body, etc. and whatnot. So these practices varied across the region, but these villagers, what they interpreted as unholy reanimations were normal symptoms of death. We're going to get a little scientific now. When a body decomposes, the skin dehydrates, causing the hair and the skin to grow. And the bacteria in the stomach creates gases, making it bloat and put blood out to our mouth. It's actually normal symptoms, but unfortunately, this science was not known yet. So what did the people do? They kept digging. In fact, so many bodies were dug up that the Princess of Austria had to send her physician around to disapprove these vampire stories. But even after the vampires' hunts had died down, their legends still live, and they have even inspired the famous book Dracula. Now, we saw that almost all simple science theories do have myths or any made-up stories behind them. But the vice versa also happens. Have you seen that many people, when buying a new car, keeps a lemon under the tire? Right? It doesn't make sense at first, but it did. In ancient times, when people used to use horses and bulls to travel, their hooves used to get dirty and bacteria used to come and get infected stuff. So, to make sure that there is no infection, the people used to make these horses and bulls step on lemon, and the citrus acid in it used to kill the bacteria. I know it's a little scientific, but this is the actual definition. But even till now, we still put lemon under rubber tires, which kind of doesn't make any sense. Next, have you heard people say that don't go near the people tree there's at night because there's a ghost in it? Maybe you have not heard, but your parents or grandparents might sure have. This is because in the 17th century, people knew nothing about the process of photosynthesis and the relation between sunlight and carbon dioxide creating magical food for the plants. But our ancestors probably knew about this and also the disadvantages of inhaling carbon dioxide at night. This is why travelers used to be discouraged from sitting near People Tree by weaving vampires and ghost stories around it. That's crazy. Next. This is one of the most interesting ones. Maybe you remember hitting a six while wearing your lucky socks or shoes in a cricket match. This is just a psychological bias at work. You're far less likely to remember all the times you got out while wearing the same socks. But believing that they work could actually make you play better. In the scientific era of many discoveries and inventions, there is no place for superstition. Science and superstition are poles apart, yet they are interdependent and they don't know about it. Superstitions are self-beliefs which are sometimes imaginary, but science is the well-known and popular word of this era. Science is itself in a sweet beginning, while superstitions have neither a beginning nor an end. It is complete in itself. So this unimaginable and imaginable, never-ending and ever-ending concepts are somewhere connected beyond the universe by some unpredictable threads of God. If that was too much text for you, just this much. Always question, then criticize. So next time, seeing a black cat, number 13, walking under a ladder, breaking a mirror, who knows, it might make sense after all. Thank you.
Krishnendu carried us from our homes to the blood-curdling graves of vampires. She made us sit under peepal trees that were thought to be haunted and carried us through our years of believing in black cats, number 13s, and broken mirrors. She showed us the way superstitions kept floating around in human minds for generations like bubbles. And she burst most of those bubbles with the razor-sharp pin that her speech was. With a string of historical examples and cold, reliable scientific facts, every part of it was well researched and concise. Firstly, Krishnendu, kudos to you for fulfilling all of your speech objectives. I loved that story at the beginning that was generously sprinkled with the images in your PowerPoint. Your amazingly natural speaking style made this more of a conversation with the audience rather than a speech, which would have obviously made them warm up to you even more. Not to mention, your speech was this ultimate chocolate box of words, of the most delicious adjectives and sentence structure that you could find. Some suggestions that I'd like to give starts with the lack of audience interaction and body language. Audience interaction is that one answer, that one secret ingredient to making sure that your listeners don't fall asleep. The minute you set foot on that stage, or virtual stage in this case, the audience becomes yours. Scream at us, cry to us, laugh at us, laugh with us, make us stand, make us go crazy. The biggest prop that you have is us. So use us to the fullest. A very important suggestion, another one that I would like you to consider is your voice modulation. As an example, the story at the beginning that you had done was your gold mine. You've described the sounds that you were hearing, and now you have the audience on the edge of their seats waiting for the big reveal, which are the coins in your pocket. Now, maybe if you had said it in this way, like I'm saying now, by now, I'm getting terrified. My heart starts pounding. My breathing becomes shallow. The sound continues and the adrenaline rushes through my body. And that's when I put my hands in my pocket. And that is when I found 5 big, round criminals. 5 big, round coins. Do you see how this sounds? Obviously, the way you did it was a brilliant one in itself, but just take this as a friendly suggestion for your future speeches. Overall, you've cooked us one amazing feast with your speech. The next time, we anticipate a bigger, better speech from the brilliant speaker that you are. Best of luck.